What's up everybody, GameDad here, coming at you guys with a brand new video. This time we're going to be doing an unboxing of the PlayStation Classic. Just got this in the mail a couple days ago, so we are going to crack this open, see what all comes inside of it, and then we'll go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison of some of the games and see if the quality is any better coming through the PS Classic versus the original PlayStation. So, come with me as we check out what we got. Alright, so here we have the PlayStation Classic. Nice small little box. Got that nice compact console in there. So you can see some of what's on the side here, showing you got the console, a couple of controllers, your cabling, all that whatnot. On the back here, it shows the games that are part of this system. So you got your 20 preloaded games in there. And I know some people, they were complaining about the games list and what's on here, but you know what? It's got some good ones on there too. Go to the other side here. Gives you a little more information. Let's see, anything on the bottom? Just some usual box stuff you would see. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and cut that seal. Okay, let's crack this open. Okay, so whenever that opens, it's got this little weird folds right there. Okay, let's go ahead and take this out. Alright, so we got a box within a box. Alright. Okay, we'll go ahead and pop that up. What is this? Another box inside of a box. Alright, so right here you've got your PlayStation Classic manual. It's kind of cool. It looks like the original PlayStation manual. I'm sure they did that on purpose. So that's kind of neat. We don't really need to flip through that though. It's just a manual. Alright. Take everything out of the box there. And we'll save this main piece for last. We'll set that to the side for now. Alright, so whenever we open this up, man, they went kind of fancy on their packaging. All kinds of little cuts going on in here. Alright, we'll open that up. Take that guy out. Okay, so here we have the different controllers. Go ahead and take that out of the bag. So right there you've got your classic original PlayStation controller. I gotta say, it feels lighter than I expected, and I'm not sure, but it actually looks like it might be a touch smaller. I'll show in another clip. I'll show side by side with an original PlayStation controller without those dual shocks in there. Yeah, and I'll be able to compare the weight having them one in each hand. So yeah, we got that. I mean, the buttons have good feedback on there. The buttons don't feel cheap or anything, but the overall casing, I don't know, it doesn't feel that high of quality. That's kind of disappointing. Then right here, they are just USB, and it does come with a 6-foot cord, so that's nice. At least you don't have to be butt right up against the TV. And then they put this nice little casing on the outside, so it looks like an actual PlayStation controller. So this console does come with 2 of them, so that's nice. Helps justify a little bit with that cost. And then let's see here. Comes with HDMI cable. I'm not sure that looks like that. It's probably a 6-foot HDMI as well. So that's kind of nice. Got a nice, decent sized HDMI cable in there. And then here is the power cord. You got that what is that, USB mini? No, USB micro. Little micro connector for its power. And then one thing, and it says it on the box, it actually does not come with the little dongle to plug this into to be able to plug it into an outlet. I mean, luckily I have a lot of those lying around, but it seems kind of silly that they would not just include that. I mean, it would cost them, what, $1? So there's that. Now we'll move on to the main event. Right here, get that out of there. Oh, that is light. I mean, I have the NES Classic and the SNES Classic, but they at least have a little more heft to them. This is very lightweight. I'm not really impressed with that. I mean, it seems solid enough for the build quality, It's kind of weird that these little feet are actually like a soft felt. I don't think... Well, I guess it sticks kind of well. Now, the disc part does not open. The open button does press in, same with the power button, obviously, and the reset. But, yeah, I don't know. Overall, the build quality feels just a little bit cheap. Let's see, can I open the expansion bay? Nope, can't open that. Alright, but right here, they have the HDMI port, they have micro for power. There's all the buttons. Go ahead and let you guys check that out. And then on the front here, you can see, oh, they actually say, you know, memory card slot, or memory card 1 and 2. And then you have your USB, so that's where whenever you plug one of these controllers in, it actually looks like a PlayStation controller is plugged in there. So, I mean, kind of a cool aesthetic thing. Okay. Alright, so let me actually show you guys a side-by-side of this compared to PlayStation's first, you know, mini console. So let me go ahead and show you that real quick. Alright, so as you can see here, I pulled out my actual PlayStation 1 controller before they came out with the DualShock, and I thought that the new PlayStation Classic controller might be a bit light, but as I feel the other controller, it feels like the same build quality. I mean, kind of hard to tell on camera, but the coloring of this one, this is the new one for the PS Classic, the coloring is actually a little bit lighter. It's not the same kind of gray as the original cable is. So I don't know if that was just an aesthetic choice that they made, but I mean, the buttons, it feels like it's just a brand new controller, but the overall weight and everything, I mean, it feels like the same weight. The build quality feels a little bit nicer on the original PlayStation controller than the Mini, but it's not bad. Now, let's go ahead and set that off to the side, and I also wanted to show you guys, just for reference, so here, this controller actually has the weight that I remember, and it must be because of adding the dual analog. So I'm not sure why Sony made the decision to not include the analog sticks and go with a DualShock controller. Obviously, it would have opened up to a lot more games that they could have done, but you know, alas, we get the analog or minus analog stick controller instead of the DualShock. So who knows, maybe they'll come out with an accessory later on that would allow you to do this. So that might be kind of cool if they did that. Alright, so again, here is the PlayStation Classic. So there's that, and now not many people know, but PlayStation actually, or Sony actually came out with a different variation of the original PlayStation. So the original one, it had, you know, this look to it, that really square look. But they came out with another console called the PS1, and it was more of a portable version because they also included a screen with it. So as you can see right here, this is the PS1 compared to the PlayStation Classic. You know, the Classic is definitely smaller, but it's not by much. It's not that much smaller, and this one actually has a lot more to it because of this. It actually came with a portable screen, and you've got some like brightness and volume settings and stuff on here, and then it opens up, got your disc, got your power, and then on the back of this it had its standard AV out, but it also had AV in and headphones, so that was kind of cool. So this right here, this is the PS1 with its screen attachment. So with this one, I actually do have the cigarette lighter adapter so that you can actually place in the car adapter power kit for it. So that's pretty fun. If you know, ever want to get some classic PlayStation going on the go, then I can just crack this bad boy open. I got my portable little screen there, good to go. But yeah, this was technically Sony's first, you know, mini kind of console, and it was just a scaled down version of the original PlayStation. And then now they went mini again, so here we go. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and check out some gameplay footage. I'm going to choose a couple of games from my collection that are on this this actual console, on this PlayStation Classic, and I will show you guys some side-by-side comparison. Since this is HDMI, we should be able to get a little bit better in the graphics I haven't heard anything about it doing any actual upscaling for HDMI, but you know, the HDMI signal should be able to get cleaned up a little bit from that composite signal instead. So let's go ahead and take a look at some gameplay footage. Alright, so as you can see here, this is the interface for the PS Classic. You know, it's nothing super impressive. It's got a really plain background to it, and it just kind of shows some kind of thumbnail artwork for the different games that are on it. And it's pretty unimpressive. I really would have expected more from Sony, especially with the kinds of interactive backgrounds they have on their other consoles. Alright, so for this first comparison, we have, of course, a classic. That's Final Fantasy VII. And the first thing that I notice is that on the PlayStation Classic, it's actually much brighter than on the original PlayStation. You can really see that here with the two faces. On the PlayStation running through composite, it's kind of really dark, and on the Classic running through the HDMI, it brightened up quite a bit. So, I mean, I thought that was kind of nice. The graphics themselves, they look like they're just a hair sharper, but nothing super crazy or anything like that. Another thing I noticed was the audio quality. I didn't really notice an actual difference between playing on the original PlayStation versus playing on the PlayStation Classic. Now in this scene right here, you can actually see a lot more just how bright it is. Over on the left, for the original PlayStation, can't really see too far off into the distance because it's really dark. But whenever you look at the PlayStation Classic, you can actually see like all the way down to the end of the train platform. And then here in this battle, you can see everything is a little brighter. Everything just kind of pops on the screen a little bit more. Now, I didn't notice any kind of slowdown with the gameplay or anything like that. It felt the same on both consoles, but I will say it was pretty nice having the bright video come through on the PlayStation Classic, so I did appreciate that. Up next on the list, we have Metal Gear Solid, and same as before with Final Fantasy VII, you can see on the left we have Metal Gear Solid running on the original PlayStation via composite, and on the right we have it running on the PlayStation Classic, and that's output into HDMI. So again, you can see the screen is much brighter, it's much easier to see everything on the screen, and it just doesn't look like dark and muddied out. Now, I don't know if it was just me or maybe just poor lighting in general, but it was actually really difficult for me to see on the original PlayStation to see that point where you're actually supposed to crawl under the pipe and start this first level. While on the PlayStation Classic, I was able to see it no problem, and I was able to just dive right in and start playing the game. So the PlayStation Classic definitely has brightness on its side as a plus. Next up is a franchise I really enjoy, and that is Oddworld. And here we have Abe's Odyssey. So on the left, you can see my actual physical copy playing on the PlayStation, running through that composite again. And on the right, you see the PlayStation Classic running through that HDMI. And again, I don't know what they did in the console, but it feels like whatever they did made everything just brighter and easier to see. I didn't notice going through the settings or anything like that if there was actually an option to increase or decrease this to make it match the original composite feel a little more, but I actually really appreciate that everything is brighter and easier to see. Now, I'm also not sure which games are supposed to be the ones that are running at the 50 Hertz, but as you can see in the side-by-side right here, these games are playing at the same speed and they're not having any issue. There's no slowness, there's no speed up or anything like that. It's playing just like the original, it's just a lot easier to see. Up next is another excellent franchise, and that is Twisted Metal. Now, this is the original one when it was still more of like a battle arena kind of thing. I mean, my personal favorite is Twisted Metal Black on the PS2 because it added more story elements, but as you can see in this one, again, it's got that brightness factor going for it, and I think this is the game out of these comparisons that really shows it the best. On the left, you know, it has that dark, gritty kind of feel from the original PlayStation, but on the right, everything is just open and easy to see. The game plays exactly as I would expect. It's nice and smooth. I don't get a lot of jittering or anything like that, and it's just fun. So there you have it, everybody. That is everything that comes inside of the PlayStation Classic, as well as some side-by-side comparison footage. That way you could see what it's like when it's coming from HDMI versus the original composite cable. Now, my personal thoughts on the console. Is it great? No, it's not great. Is it horrible? No, it's not horrible either. The interface for it feels a little bit clunky, feels a little cheap. I really think Sony could have done a lot better job if they had just made an interface themselves instead of using an open source emulator. Now, there's also been a lot of talk about how some of the games are running in 50 Hertz. Now, I didn't really notice that big of a difference in the different games that I was playing. Now, you might have a more keen eye than I do, but like I said, I don't really notice a difference in any kind of slowdown or anything like that. The games felt like they played exactly the same, at least with the ones that I did a side-by-side comparison of. Now, I will say I am a little bit disappointed in the overall build quality of the console. I mean, Sony is pretty much known for making some really sturdy consoles and some really good hardware. And I wasn't really impressed with this all that much. The hardware, it felt like cheap plastic. It didn't really have much heft to it, so it doesn't have that weighty feeling like, you think it's something good. Now, is the game list great? No, it's not great. There's a bunch of different titles that, tons of different people wanted to actually be on this console that aren't there. But at the same time, there are still some good titles. I mean, personal favorites of mine, they had Abe's Odyssey on there. They have Tekken 3. They've also got, of course, Final Fantasy 7. They've got Cool Borders. So they do have some good games on there. But yes, of course, there are some that it would be nice to see them on there. Maybe if there was a Crash Bandicoot or if there was a Spyro game. But at the same time, those also just got, in this past year, Crash came out with their Insane trilogy, and then we also just got the Spyro Reignited trilogy. So if I ever want to replay those games in a higher quality, I can just go get those and play. Now, that might sound like a lot of negatives. We have the poor choice in games. Not a lot of people were happy with the games list. It does have that $100 price tag on it, which I will say that's a pretty steep price tag. I think this console, for what it comes with and its overall build quality, I would say that it's probably more like at max an $80 console. I would have liked to see this probably even more in like the $60 range. I don't think it's worth $100. Now, at this price point, no, I would not recommend this. I do not recommend buying this for $100. I don't personally think that it is worth it for $100. Now, when it inevitably goes down in price because of all the canceled pre-orders, and I'm sure what will amount to very poor sales, then go ahead and pick one up when they do a price drop, because if they have any hope of selling this through the holiday season, they're going to need to do something to really attract new customers in. Now, speaking of everybody's canceled pre-orders, now, I did not cancel mine, obviously. Now, am I overall kind of disappointed with the console as a whole? Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed with it. It's not the greatest. Now, does that mean I absolutely hate it? No, definitely not. It's still a cool little console. It's got some fun games on it. Now, do I regret my pre-order? No, I don't. And I mean, that's just the simple truth. I am underwhelmed by this, but I don't regret it, because at the end of the day, I am a collector. And I like getting consoles like this. I got the NES Classic, the SNES Classic, got my PS Classic now. I'm looking forward to that Commodore 64 one that they got coming out. And that's because I enjoy collecting. I enjoy the hunt. I enjoy new devices that are coming out. I mean, I have nearly every game that comes on this console on physical already behind me. Okay, so I don't need this, but I'm a collector, and it's something that I thought would be a good addition to my collection, and personally, I think it is. And at the end of the day, that's all that really matters. Some people are going to love this. Most people, it seems so far, hate it, but at the end of the day, I'm happy with it. Hopefully, it might get some updates or something in the future. That would be kind of nice. It does have USB support on there. It's very limited as it stands, but I'm sure that somebody somewhere is going to hack this console very soon and really open it up. Maybe even open up, some DualShock support in there. So, yeah. Now, what are your thoughts on the PlayStation Classic? Go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys thought. Did you pre-order it? Are you just picking one up in stores? Are you staying away from it and never going to touch the thing because you think it's a waste? Let me know. I would love to start a conversation about this and hear what you all have to say. Now, if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also hit that notification bell. That way you get an alert every time I got a new video coming out. Right now, I am currently releasing a couple videos a week. I've been doing a video on every Wednesday going through various parts of my collection. You can see some of it behind me here. And then on Fridays, I've been trying to do kind of more random or obscure videos. A couple weeks back, I had the Zelda games on the Philips CDI. So that was kind of fun to be able to experience some Nintendo games that weren't on a Nintendo console. And then even as recent as this past Wednesday, it was the part 2 of my current Game Boy collection. So be sure to check out those other videos if that's something you might be interested in. And as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.